Hello everyone, so this is a weekly explanation video for the week of May 25th, and this is the first position. So at first it looks like white is just lost his down 2 pawns and his king's getting checkmate with multiple mating ideas. Okay, so what can I do? So in this type of positions we should start with checks and captures. So what can we do? So the only capture we have is queen takes b7, but of course there's a work. Queen f8 check, c after king a7 minus nothing. So what else can white do? Maybe rook f8 check. Rook f8 check, black has to play king a7. After king a7, again, if we don't do something radical, then well, it's just getting made. So what to do? Again, checks and captures. Well, let's see. Queen b6, queen takes b7, they do nothing. What about queen c5 check? Well, now we notice this check, but then black just takes. But what do we notice here? The white pawn is blocked. No, it has no moves. The king has no moves, so if we sacrifice a rook, which is our only piece left, then we'll achieve stalemate. So white simply plays rook a checks, black doesn't accept, but rook takes a6, and black is forced to accept the rook, and the game will be drawn by stalemate. An alternative solution is after king a7, rook a8 check, another check. This also works. After takes, queen f8 check. King a7, again the same idea as queen c5. Now, of course, queen takes c5 is stalemate. And black can try, let's say, black can try like king b8. It's an interesting idea because if you take this queen, then you rook a1. Black works. But white simply gives perpetual. This black can take the stalemate of b6, not taking the queen plus mate again, but just taking on c7, and white will give perpetual to draw. So that was the first position. Okay, second position, we have black here. Again, so since this is an exercise, tactical exercise, we should start with, let's say, checks and captures. So what to do? We'll check. Let's look at the check. Check, but this doesn't do anything. White can simply play knight c3, and black didn't achieve anything with it in his spot. So what about another capture? What about knight takes e4? It looks bad because you just give the queen for nothing. Well, let's continue the line a bit deeper. Takes. White, of course, can't take because white simply takes. Black wins the piece. Let's go deeper. Bishop takes d. Well, what's logical here? What about bishop b4 check? This looks very nice because if king f1, then rook takes f2 is moved. So white's forced to play king e2. What is the most logical move? It's rook f2. King is forced further into the open, king e3. And okay, again, very logical. Bishop c5, bring the king closer and closer to the center, where black's pieces will be able to mate the white king. King takes c4, and now we can see forced mate into bishop f5 check. King takes e5, knight d7 mate, and it's very fitting that black develops his pieces and makes the white king the center. Another way to mate was rook f4 check. King takes e5, bishop d6. The rook is a kind of a box on the king. So after knight takes e4, objectively one has to live with being a piece down, but of course black is winning. After bishop d8, bishop before king e2, black has forced mate. So this was the second position. On to the third one. Yeah, this one. So this is the third position. So this is, I think, again, black was young Tiedemann, very strong grandmaster in his prime. He was like top 3 in the world. And okay, the original position was without the pawn in c2, I believe. Yeah. But in that case, black had other winning opportunities like bishop f5, I think. because without the pawn c2, black can rook on d1, and black is winning. So I added the pawn c2 to give a better exercise, and again, we should look at checks and captures. And if not check and captures, also mating threats. It's very logical mating threats. So, for example, let's say we take the pawn. What happens here? Well, it looks like we're winning, right? Because we're just finding checkmate. But White's idea is knight c3, and suddenly the knight protects the rook. And the rook guards the first rank. And unfortunately, after knight f3 check, king g2. And you can't take the bishop with the queen because the rook is protecting it. And after bishop takes f1, king takes f3, there's no mate, unfortunately, because queen e4, that's guarded by the knight. So that's no mate, that doesn't work. Similarly, if bishop h3, the knight c3 is the same idea and white f. So another logical idea, how about check, knight f3 check? How about this? Well, obviously white can't play king h1 because take bishop with mate. But what happens if he takes the knight? Again, you should see a similar mating pattern. It's very typical. Queen takes f1, king takes f1, bishop h3 check. It becomes clear that bishop and the rook take away the escape squares of the king, and after king g1, rook e1 is mate. So this is a very nice mating idea. But what about after king g2? Do we have anything here? We do. The simplest is queen takes f1 check, king is forced to take, and bishop h3. Again, a very typical mating pattern with the knight and bishop. It's a very good pattern to remember. Yes, knight f3 is forced mate, and I think this is how, his opponent resigned after knight f3. And next position. So the next position, yeah, at first glance it looks like black's in big trouble. The queen is attacked, the rook is attacked, the bishop is attacked. Black has so many pieces hanging. But in this situation, again, we should look for forcing moves that might solve the problem. Again, checks and captures and maybe threats to the opponent's king. So what comes to mind is the most forcing move at first? Queen takes f2. Looks very, okay, it looks kind of insane, but it's a very forcing move. We take a pawn check and force the king to take. Has to take. Okay, if king h1, black simply takes the bishop with the rook, and black is just winning. Has an extra piece and 2 extra pawns. Okay, white has 94, but black is queen a7. Black guards his pieces, and white will take the rook, but black just recaptures, and black is completely winning. Okay, but white should take one on. Take the free queen. But then, what was the point of his sacrifice? Well, again, we brought the typical theme. We brought the king with sacrificing into the open, where it would be very vulnerable and be very easy to checkmate it. So we should play bishop c5 check, cutting off the escape square in g1. If the white king were to get back and be safe, then black would just be a queen down, so that wouldn't be good. Bishop c5 check. And what to do? Well, in the game, white play king f3, he has to come out further. King f1, then we see the pawn. c3 check, and now we see these two bishops like sniper. Yeah, and they're so strong. And we have rook f6, taking the bishop with check incoming, and black will just be completely winning. So white had to play king f3. The king marches further into the black camp. Rook takes f6 check, king g4. And now how to continue the attack? Oh, we shouldn't give a check with the rook because we don't want the king to run back. So what other checks are logical? 95 check. It's what Nakamura played in the game. 95 check. I think white played king g5. if white were to take this knight and simply we bring another piece in the game, bishop c8 check, you see how the rook cuts off the king's escape square, and the bishop also takes the h3 square away, and black will mate soon. So king g5, rook g6 check. Well, now, yeah, the rook g6 check is now logical because we have so many pieces white can't escape. If king f4, for example, then we have knight d3 check. Problem for white, king f3, rook f6. We have like knight f2 at least. Or bishop, no, actually bishop c8, yeah. And again, cut off the squares for the king. Now the king can't run, so the game white play king to h5. Okay, of course we have a perpetual rook h6, king g5, rook g6 with the draw, but of course black wants more than that. The king's on h5, and we have one, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, not to mention some pawns around the king, so it should be enough to mate. I think in the game Nakamura played f6, which is good enough to win. He's threatening rook h6 checkmate, and I think his opponent took on e5 to remove the guard on g4. Now if rook h6 check, and king g4 king runs, but in the game he just took on e5, king h4, and again the same move, bishop c8. Now that we away the g4 square, we're threatening rook h6 mate, and white has to give up a lot of material here, so his opponent is fine. It's a very nice game by Nakamura. Actually, even cleaner here was bishop c8. Again, just simply bring more pieces, and white's it's pretty much forced mate. Black will play next move bishop e7 or f6. The idea is to take away the square in g5 and fall by rook h6 mate, and it's unstoppable. And black is just so many pieces around the white king. Look at this king to h5, completely helpless. So yeah, so this sacrifice queen f2, we should always look for such opportunities to attract the king into the open with some sacrifices. Very typical and nice. And the next game is this game. Yeah, it's an old game played by Morphy. And okay, the original position was with the bishop on c8 and the rook on f8. But in that case, white could defend with, you see later, with c3 and b4, and with the bishop on c8, this wasn't working. It's only protection. So I added the bishop on f5, but since the rook on f8 is blocking the bishop, for the rook on f4. Okay, so the rook is attacked. Okay, what I previously said I hinted the right move, and we just rook takes f2 again. When our pieces are attacked, we shouldn't be passive. We should always look for counter attacks, like sacrificing the piece. We should not be afraid to lose material temporarily. So it looks very natural. Rook takes f2. Again, it's a capture. It's a forcing move. Yes, a take. Now, what was the idea of rook takes f2? Well, the bishop left its square on e3, which means it opened the third rank for the queen. You can see the king is kind of relatively unprotected here. What can we do? Queen a3, boom. And again, the key, of course, cannot take because bishop takes a3 is just checkmate. And bishop, I think he has to defend with c3. I'm playing something like queen c3, but after queen c3, the simplest just queen takes a2, king d2, and bishop b4, and we pin the queen, and are completely winning with a lot of extra material. c3, he has to defend, and here queen takes a2 is winning, but the strongest move is e3. Because again, we reinforce this bishop, again taking away the c2 square, so after takes, and black with this checkmate here. E3, but the idea is to open the bishop. So bishop takes E3, then queen takes A2. Black will just be given mate and completely winning. Queen C2 is a clever try because now the idea is bishop takes E2, B takes A2. In this position, it's also winning, but there's no need for that. Black simply takes on A2. Bishop is untouchable because it's made on B2, and white has completely no defense. Black has just made it here. So, yeah, rook F2, opening third rank for main tactical. So, yeah, so I think, yeah, the original position was with, I think, was like this. Now the problem is if we do the same thing as we saw, I think white could defend with as in C3, and now without the bishop on F5, black doesn't have enough firepower. For example, queen takes A2, B4, and the white queen comes to rescue, and queen A1 check, king C2, queen A4 check, but just king C1, and we have a repetition with the draw. So king B2 is bad because bishop takes B4, black crashes through, but king C1, and I think black had nothing better than a draw. So I modified the position a bit so that it'll be more clear that this is winning. Next thing. Okay, this is a game by Kasparov. He is white. What can we notice here? First of all, black team is kind of weak. White has a lot of pressure around the black king, and typically when we have a pawn on e5 against pawn e6, like this is like the French structure, because we get this structure from the French, like e4, e6, b4, and d5, and later white pushes e5. Usually because with the pawn on e5, white has more space on the king side, so imagine this happening on the board. So usually white attacks on this side because black's pieces are cramped with the extra space from white. Black plays on the queen side because he has more space on the queen side. Okay, so what to do? Let's look at capture first. But knight takes g7 doesn't do much. I mean, it's possible, but nothing decisive. But we still want to crash through. We noticed the g7 pawn is very weak because if the bishop was on f8, it would be much better. But then knight is on f8, which is in the way of the bishop. So then it'll be difficult to understand how black will protect g7 pawns. So what comes to mind? Well, bishop h6. So it's a bit unusual because there's usually when you sacrifice for a pawn or something. So, but this sacrifice on the it's a sacrifice on the empty square, but still very strong because black can't defend the g7 pawn. You see, after takes, queen d2. Again, you can't defend the g7 square. Like it's black's move, but you'll have two moves, but still, how can you defend this pawn? This square, sorry. We can have with queen d8, then queen takes h6. Black is too slow. Knight d7, and then just queen d7 mate. Black's one tempo too slow because the knight has no move, and you have to move the queen so the knight can move, so that the bishop can move. So it's just way too slow. In the game, black played f5. F5, trying to clear the 7th rank for the queen to defend, but white simply takes off the front. Attacking the bishop, bishop d8, queen takes h6. Okay, so what's the material count? White is 2 pawns for a piece for the bishop, but we still have a raging attack. Like black simply helpless. The knight's coming in. Well, black played rook a7 in the game, but white simply played knight g5 and is completely winning because the threat is f7, which is unstoppable. Black has to sacrifice his queen for the pawn. Yeah, bishop takes f6, knight takes f6. So I think in the game, black took on b5, but after the simple f7 check, rook takes f7 here. Black resigned because again, it's unstoppable lane at g7 for all. So this was a really nice attack, a bit unusual, but if once we notice that the pawn and the square in g7 is really hard to access for black, then bishop h6 should come to mind, and we execute a very easy mating attack. And today's position. This positional exercise. What can we notice here? It looks relatively equal at first glance. Materials equal, pawn structures relatively closed. But what can we do here with white? Well, the light square bishops are exchanged. And in this type of King's Indian structure, a very typical idea, let's say the e pawn and f pawn were exchanged. Then the white knight gets the square on e4, where it's an absolute monster, attacking d6. Like, this is an octopus knight, it's absolutely dominant. So white would like to get the square. But currently at the moment, black has a pawn on g6. And if you take on f5, he'll recapture with the g pawn. So we want to clean out the square for the knight. So we take. Okay, rook takes, then knight e4. Again, we got the square for the knight. Very strong here. We gain black took, gf. But we want the square. So what to do? g4. Very logical. But we should not be afraid to play g4 because yes, the pawn is in front of the king, so you may be afraid that while sweeping the king, but if you look at black's pieces, like absolutely no pressure on the white king. The white king is completely safe. So you should not be afraid to play such a like g4. It's much more important to get the strategically important e4 square for the knight, because as you know, the knights are the best blockaders. So let's say, just for example, let's say we got this position. This is a passed pawn, but the knight is a great blockader because not only does it stop the pawn, but it supports all other white ideas. So generally, we want this square on e4, which is a really strong idea. g4. Yeah, black took in the game. Okay, f takes g4 is good, but yeah, I think white was Petrosian. He just played 94, just even stronger because the knight's absolutely dominant. Yes, black can win a pawn here, but it does not favor him at all. Like, let's say you take everything, but look how weak the black king is. I'll be coming in with the queen and the knight, and then maybe move the bishop as well, rook to g1. Black's pieces are still sleeping on the queen side, so I mean, it's not a good idea for black to open up his weak king on g8. But if not, then white is just... Actually, this position is already winning for white because white sooner or later will recapture, and then, yeah, the knight on e4 is complete beast. And white can even use it to support advances on the king side. Yeah, and without the light squared bishops, black cannot exchange this knight, and the knight on a6 is so poor, it's so far away from action. So there's no way black can use that knight to exchange for the knight e4. So yeah, so this is a typical idea in the King's Indian structure. This type of structure takes, and g4. We want to clean out the e4 square for the knight. Usually a very strong idea. What I mean by King's Indian structure is we get this from the opening King's Indian. Something like this. Let's say pawn is close, and so this type of position, we see the same. This structure is what I mean. Yeah, sometimes black plays c5, sometimes not, but this structure generally good. And sometimes when black plays f5, yeah, as you saw in that example, white can take, and sometimes followed by g4 if I did a clean off like e4 square for the knight on c3. Okay, in this position it's not possible, but it's a good idea to keep in mind. So hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it was helpful. Hopefully you guys can use these explanations and solve more positions. Again, I'll be posting a video like this next week for next week's positions. Okay, until next time. See you guys. Bye.